Welcome back to the Emotional Mastery Podcast. This week, I'm trying something new out. So, we're going to do a little transit update for the week of September 18th until the 24th. I'm testing this out. I'm going to try it for a few weeks and see how it's received. But I've been really feeling called to this as I create the Mastery Monday newsletter. If you're not on there, the link is down below, where I just send out like a weekly update and the transit report for the week to come. And it just feels really supportive for the community. And so I wanted to sort of, come here and share here, and maybe, in the future, do some sort of like human design updates or astrology updates on like a specific gate or something like that. But this week really feels, as I was writing the newsletter, it really feels like a week of letting go of attachments, a week of coming into our authenticity, a week of trusting the body and ourselves and our intuition and all these things. We start the week with the sun in gate 6, and the gate 6 is the gate of conflict. So this is part of the channel of mating. It moves, gate 6 is in the solar plexus, and gate 59, which is its other half, is in the sacral. And so we know the sacral is all about fertility, sexuality. The solar plexus is emotions, it's passions, it's all of these things. And so gate 6 being the gate of conflict, it sort of opens the door to intimacy. Gate 59 is the gate of intimacy, gate 6 is the gate of conflict, and gate 6 again opens that door to intimacy or not. And conflict is a healthy, normal part of relationships. It is showing us how we can create deeper intimacy. It is showing us how we can respond, how we can react, how we handle conflict within a relationship. And so gate 6 is really sort of asking us to show up for conflict. And so if you've noticed any conflict coming up in your relationships, that's probably why. I've been feeling it. And so this is just like a really powerful gate, because channel 59.6 is the source wave of the solar plexus. So this is literally creates the entire emotional landscape of the solar plexus. So it's a really, really potent gate. And so with the sun moving through this, just asking yourself where you may be feeling conflict, maybe where maybe you're wanting to create conflict, and how you're going to show up in the face of that. I'm reading a book, oh my gosh, I forgot what it's called. I'm reading a book, I think it's called I totally forgot. It's a really famous book, Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl. And in the beginning of that book, that's what he talks about, is that the only thing, you can lose everything in your entire life. Life can take everything from you, all of your material things, like life can take everything from you. But the one thing you will always be in control of is your response, is your reaction, is the way that you feel. And so this just feels like a really beautiful reminder, especially with gate 6, that we may be feeling a little bit more friction, a little bit more conflict, and yet we also always have the control over, we always have I've just lost the word, but we always have control over how we respond and how we feel in that situation. On Wednesday, we have Mars moving into gate 57, which is the gate of intuition. And so with Mars being an action-oriented planet, how are you taking action on your intuition? Are you listening to your intuition? What is coming up in your intuition, right? And this is a gate in the spleen. The spleen is about fear, survival, intuition, the physical body, right? And so a lot of this week is sort of like trusting our body, coming into our authenticity. Are we listening to what we really desire and what we want? And how are we navigating that? And then on Friday, we move into gate 46, which is the gate of the love of the self, which is all about the body. It's in the G center. And Richard Rudd talks about this gate, and its shadow is seriousness. And so when we're leaning into seriousness, it's because we're leaning more into attachments. We're feeling really attached to things, whether it's standards, whether it's food, whether it's alcohol. We're feeling attached to the material, to the physical world, to the Maya, to the illusion of this physical reality, instead of really like leaning into ourselves. And so then it moves into its gift, which is delight, and then its city, which is ecstasy. And so how are we maybe forming an attachment or not releasing attachments? And again, this gate bridges Virgo and Libra. And so we are moving from the I aspect of the zodiac to the we aspect. So we're moving from the self into relationships. And so this is really, really important, because it's a love of the body. But this can also be like, when we look at Libra, is so much about relationships. It's relationships with others. Relationships in Libra are the most important thing, right? Libra will abandon itself to find harmony and balance and justice in a situation where it may actually want to internally know the opposite, because it wants that so badly, right? But it's relationships to others, it's marriages, it's relationships to your children, and it's also the relationship to yourself, to your own physical body. And so I love this sort of like bridge gate between the body and the relationships in Libra. And Richard Rudd talks about how gate 46 loves wine, because wine is the fruit of the earth, right? And if you've followed me on Instagram, I went on a Saturday night. I was actually supposed to go out with somebody, and that person was unable to join me. And so I'm actually kind of glad I had this experience by myself, but I did have a glass of wine. And it was the first glass of wine I've had in a year. But I felt very like not attached to it, right? It was one of those things where it was just like, I made a reservation to this, one of my favorite restaurants. And there was something in me that was just like, it would be so nice to have a glass of wine that, and just pair really beautifully with the food. Because I feel like of all the last year, that's been the most thing that I've missed is like going out and eating really beautiful food. And I'm like, ooh, a glass of wine would be beautiful with this. Once I got past the need for alcohol to like numb or avoid or show up in social situations, which was super confronting and all of the things. But after I got through all of that, then the wine paired with food was the big thing. But yeah, I had a moment where it's like, do I want to open that door again? Do I want to add alcohol in? And just having that glass of wine just showed me that to be true with myself, be in integrity with myself. I can trust myself. I can listen to myself. And it showed me how much I've grown because I woke up and I didn't feel overly attached to it. I was like, I would have been fine having it or not. Like, I don't feel like I want to go out tonight and have another glass. I don't feel like I want to even put it on the map, like calendar where I'm like, oh, I'm going to have a glass of wine this day. And I'm going to go out to this restaurant and have a glass of wine. Like, it feels very non-attached, which is very different than the past. And so I've definitely seen how much I've grown over the past year. And it wasn't like I was going out to like get drunk or because I was numbing. And I really was intentional about asking myself that, like, why am I wanting this? And so with Gate 46 and Richard Rudd saying that Gate 46 really loves wine, and my unconscious sun is in Gate 30, and Gate 30 is clinging fire, but it's all about expectations. It's all about being in the moment and being in experiences. And so having a Taurus sun as well, this is very much a part of my experience is being in the physical, being in the body, being in the experience. And so it was just a beautiful sort of reminder. And I was like, it's so aligned to also Venus was square Jupiter when I went out. And I was like, of course, like astrology is going to reflect exactly what I'm experiencing. And then Saturday, we have the sun moving into Libra, and Libra is all about balance, harmony, beauty, relationships, justice, morals, values, all of these things. It is ruled by Venus. But Libra is more of a refined version of Venus. It is the masculine, whereas Taurus is very raw, feminine, earthy, seductive, sensual sort of Venus. So Libra is a little bit more refined. Venus, again, is about relationships. It's about peace, it's balance, and everything that I have just said. It is also the fall equinox. And so we're moving from this beautiful, thriving, bountiful, voluptuous, like whatever terminology you want to use for summer, and we're moving into fall where things begin to die, right? We're beginning to come into this phase where we're more reflecting on ourselves. It's self-reflection. It's kind of taking everything and seeing what's happening. It's also a time where the weather tends to drop. If you're in the Northern Hemisphere, the weather tends to drop. And so we're then being bundling up, we're staying at home more, maybe we're cuddling up with our partners and sort of like enhancing those intimate relationships. So of course, it's always going to be about relationships. And so that is sort of the energy of this week. And it just feels very much coming into your authenticity, coming into your integrity, trusting yourself, looking at your body, what is asking to be seen. I don't know if I touched on Sun trine Pluto, which is happening on Thursday. And this really, again, this theme of death, transformation, rebirth, power, control, when it comes to our body, our health, our daily routines, it's really asking like, what isn't working? Where can you trust your body? What habits, what are you maybe not releasing? What do you want to implement? Pluto is always the death, transformation, rebirth cycle. And we always go through this always in our life. And so this week, just sort of tuning into that, tuning into your body, seeing what's happening as we're making this transition again from Virgo to Libra, from I to we, and really just being present with the moment, like finding space to meditate, finding space to ground in, finding space to feed yourself. And in Ayurveda, we are designed to eat with the seasons, right? And so summer season, we're eating certain foods that are oh my gosh, in season. There's a word I'm looking for that I can't find right now. And then with fall, what is in season is different. And so, if you can find and ask yourself what was more support to you going into the fall season, what foods, if you go to a local farmer's market, finding out what foods are in season and what you can incorporate, and really just like nourishing your body a little bit. And then of course with Libra, we're going to want to be focusing on our relationships. So how can you nourish your relationships? How can you show up in your relationships? And all the things. So that was my little quick transit update for this week. And I hope you enjoyed it. Always let me know if you have any feedback, if this was supportive. You can find me on Instagram at Rochelle.Christian. Website is RochelleChristian.com. Holistic Human Design Academy will be launching in October. So you can click the link below and get on the wait list. I'm so excited. I'm lining up the guest speakers now, and it's going to be amazing. And I will catch you on Thursday.